What's up, y'all? I am back for another video. Oh, hold on. I am back for another video. Today, I am reviewing the last voyage of the Demeter. Finished it a bit ago, and well, not a bit ago, like a couple hours ago. Um, it's pretty good. I like it. I think pretty much I like everything, but my friend Mara pointed out a plot hole, and I gotta agree that the chick, she's the plot hole in the whole movie. She's probably my only Anna. That's her name. She's probably the weakest link in the movie. One, the way she's introduced is kind of janky. Her just being a random stowaway. The fact she knows what vampires are but doesn't say it, it's weird. Everything else is cool though. I love the atmosphere. I think that's like the best thing about this movie is the atmosphere. I love the tone. It has really good pacing. Like the movie doesn't drag. Like it gets going pretty quick. I really, I don't usually check time, but sometimes, I'll check the time of where we're at in the movie. And I already saw like 50 minutes in, there's already a bunch of shit going on. A couple people already died. And honestly, I like Dracula's animalistic appearance in this. I think it's an interesting look, especially compared to Dracula like we know him. And I think it works better for the movie. Instead of it just being in his human form, which I guess you kind of get in the end, though he still looks vampiric, but you do see him in clothes, so. But I like that they kind of go with the animalistic look for him in this movie. And he doesn't talk, which I like. I actually think it makes it scarier. He's picking off people. I like the captain. I think a lot of people know him as Davos from Game of Thrones. He's in Dog Soldiers, and he's a great Captain Elliot, I think is his name. He was a pretty good character. Some of the other ones are all right, but they serve their purpose. Clemens, who's the main, was okay. He serves. I didn't like the ending though. I'll be honest, where he's like, "I'm gonna hunt down Drac." I didn't need that ending. That felt kind of forced. It comes off like, oh, the next movie he's gonna be hunting Dracula. It's like, no, I didn't need that. I mean, I don't know if maybe that's in the book, because I did read, because I know this is supposed to be based off this Demeter section. But the problem is, in the actual book, the whole point of the title "Last Voyage of the Demeter" is that everybody dies, and they decided to not go with that for some reason. It's dumb. It felt like, oh, we have to have a horror movie trope. Somebody has to live. And it's like, no. The whole point, it's like they didn't want to commit, to killing, I mean, we can go the route of they didn't want to kill a black guy, but I don't even think it's just that. I think it's more they didn't want to kill anybody. I think a lot of horror movies are just scared to have a villain win. So they're like, well, we gotta have somebody live and tell the story. No. The whole point of the title "Last Voyage of the Demeter" is that it's the last voyage. Everybody's fucking dead. It works so much better. If you had killed everybody on that boat, you could even have Clemens go out like a hero, even. But ultimately, he needed to die. Everybody needed to die. I didn't need that ending where I'm going to hunt you down, Dracula. That was a little cringy to me. But aside from that, I overall think it's a really good movie. I especially as someone who loves isolation horror, I think this is a perfect example of it. Dracula's great. I think he's the best part of it. I thought his introduction, like I said, the movie gets going pretty quick. I think they really do capture that ancient, 1890s setting of Britain, So, like I said, I think I said this on Twitter. I gave it like an 8.5, and I think I'll stick with that. I think pretty much I like everything aside from Anna. I think she's a walking plot, not just a walking plot hole. I think she just kind of brings the story down. I think the actress in general she didn't do it for me. Because everyone else, Wojak, I think is his name. I could get it wrong, but he was an okay character, even though he kind of starts off douchey. But Anna, I just felt like her performance just wasn't, compared to everybody else. She just, I don't know. I didn't feel like she brought it. So, she's the only real negative I have for this movie. I like pretty much every shit you saw that. So I'll that live. Fuck it, we'll do it live. But she pretty much is the only issue I have with the movie. Like, I like everything else. I think the atmosphere is perfect. The kills are pretty good. The shot of like they're looking in the door and you just see Dracula standing there in like the darkness with his eyes glowing is really good. I thought that was a really good shot. So I definitely would watch it again. And to be honest, it's not a bad watch to watch. Like if you had just watched Bram Stoker's Dracula, even though they do show the Demeter in that movie, like in more of like a quick little segment, this one isn't bad to watch after it. It really is, and I think it works. You know, and like I said, I prefer the more creature look for Dracula. I thought it works in this movie, especially the type of movie it was saying. And I'm happy they didn't have him talk in the end. Because I'll be honest, what I thought they were going to do is towards the end, we're going to see him in his like human form, which I would have been okay with. But I'm happy he didn't talk, though. Even when we do, he's not a human. He still looks creature-ish, but he isn't like clothes. So it basically hints that he's going to become the Dracula we know. But I'm happy he didn't say anything. You just see him smile, scratch at Clemens, like so Clemens to feel it. And yeah, that ending doesn't work though. If him he should have died. I think that's the only real tweak I would have made for the movie is he died. He should have died. The whole point of the title, Last Voyage in Demeter, is that everybody dies on it. So, but other than that, it's a good movie. I think definitely would watch again. I regret not seeing it in theaters, definitely. Especially just some of those shots, man. That shot of Dracula when you see him they look inside the room and you just see him standing there in the darkness and his fucking eyes. That would have been a good scene to see in the theater. So I'll admit I fucked up there, but good movie. I definitely recommend it. Like I said, there's some little inconsistencies. Anna's like the character Anna's a walking plot hole. But aside from that, I think you'll like the movie. But probably if you don't really know the story, you might just enjoy it. It's just a horror movie. So tomorrow, I'm actually in the middle of watching Maniac Cop before I started this video. But we're going to be reviewing Maniac Cop tomorrow. Probably it might be in the day, though. Kind of like last time. Because I'd already seen this movie, so it's not like I need to... I'm watching it again, so I haven't watched recently, so we can just review it tomorrow. So I'll be doing that. But, yeah, let's get into Last Voyage of Demeter. So the movie opens up. We see the Demeter about to sail. And this is where we meet Clemens. He's like a practicing doctor. And he asks to be a member of the crew. They initially turn him down for like an old man. And we see the Demeter being loaded. And they basically said, you kind of hint throughout that they're dealing with vampires because they say you got to be in by like before sundown and all this. So, and they see this the guy that they end up initially hiring because they didn't want to initially hire Clemens fucks up and nearly, I think he basically causes like an accident, and he ends up leaving because he sees like basically you see this cane that has like a wolf symbol on it. Basically it's supposed to be like I guess he knows who Dracula is. And I do like that the movie kind of gives you little hints. It doesn't start off as like you know it's gonna be a Dracula movie. Like if you take out the title and you like what the vampire looks like, this movie could just be some period piece in the 1800s. So like I like that they kind of don't I like that they don't like they kind of do take a little bit of a slow burn what kind of movie this is going to be. So they pick Clemens, end up hiring him, and this is where we meet Captain Elliot, Wojak, I think is his name, and a couple of the members of the ship, including Toby, who actually is he's not a bad kid actor, who you see throughout the film. I thought him and Clemens had a pretty good friendship. One night while eating dinner, they find Anna, who's a stowaway, on the ship. Initially, one of them suggests to dump her overboard, but the captain decides to keep her on, and they give her blood transfusion. And this is where we find out that she is being targeted by Dracula. She's like, "Oh, he's here," and this introduction is pretty bad. The problem I have personally is, I get it. I, as the audience, know it's Dracula because this is a movie about Dracula, but I think you gotta still play into, for the audience who doesn't know. You don't. Why not just flat out say it's vampires? Like, they hint throughout, and even she knows why she's on the. I don't know. They should have had her. I even think the way she's kind of introduced is just not good. Like, it's weird. Like, I think she should have probably had been in. I don't know. She should have been, like, just already on the ship, and then Dracula's just on, kind of like in the book. That's just how it was. It wasn't some weird. They should have. Wasn't some. They should have just stuck to that. But anyway, and I just think in general, she just wasn't a great actress. I'm not saying she's bad, and it could just be the directing. I don't know, and it's weird because everyone else was good. Because, like, I think when we're talking with the other characters and the characters are talking, and, like when they're having dinner, that's not a bad scene. So Dracula, one of the shipmates looks, and he finds a bunch of, dead animals, and they end up having to, because they're fear rabies, obviously they have to dump some of the animals overboard, which is sad, but, it was accurate to the time. Same time, Dracula kills one of them. He slices his throat and then, drains him. And this is where we see and then she tells him about Dracula. And she's supposed to be, like, I guess, like, the expert on vampires, but she doesn't feel like one. It's like the movie is trying to make it seem like she is, but she's not really, because the movie's not going into it. It's like, bitch, you know who he is. Just give us a more detailed explanation. Yeah, like, that's the problem I have with this movie. She's my only real negative. I gotta agree. She's a massive plot hole. She kind of is. She's the only real problem I have with the fucking film, to be honest. I'm fine with everything. And also the fact that Clemens survives in the end. But aside from those two things, everything else is good. They build the tension perfectly. The sound score is pretty good. The ambience is there. Like, they really got the atmosphere right. Like, they got everything right. When Dracula shows his true form, like, 'cause he's, like, kind of stalking throughout the film. And I love that, like I said, that shot I talked about earlier where they're looking, and I think it's probably a little bit later, but when they look in through a mirror, not a mirror, through, like, a door in a room, and you just see Dracula. Like, I think he killed somebody, and then they see Dracula standing there, and it's just yellow eyes. Like, that's fucking good. That looks fucking good. It's like they got everything else right. Maybe they should never have it. And I get it. They thought the movie maybe would have worked by having a Dracula expert, but it also, she's not one, because the movie, it's like she is, but she isn't at the same time. So it would have been better maybe just to not include a character. Like, just have it just be the crew and Clemens. I think that I would have been fine with that. But one of the members turned into a vampire, and we see him, which I like that aspect too. It's tragic. Like, yeah, one of your friends turns into a vampire, and you have to kill him and burn him in the sunlight. And then Toby, unfortunately, gets turned because he gets chased by Dracula, who can, obviously has power, so he possesses somebody. And yeah, so Toby ends up getting turned and having to get set alight. So after a couple of the members of the crew, they decide they're going to trap Dracula and try to kill him on the ship before he, the ship makes it to London. Trapping in the ship doesn't really work. He kills off a lot of the members of the team, including Anna. Unfortunately, Dracula Basically, he successfully, like, basically makes it out. And, you know, successfully turned in. I thought the final act was pretty good on the ship. When Dracula lands, like, even though we saw in the trailer when he has his wings and he's like fully ready, like, I thought that scene was pretty cool. So because Anna's bitten, she basically is about to turn into a vampire. So she basically sacrifices herself so Clemens can escape. And he makes it to London, reads Anna's journal, which I guess gives more info. It's like, why not just say that in the movie? And then he notices a figure that looks like Dracula, but he's in like clothes. And Dracula kind of like slashes him at him in a way to kind of get his attention. And he basically says, I'm going to hunt down Dracula and kill him back to hell. And it's like, I didn't need that ending. He should have died. The whole point of it being the last voyage of the Demeter is that everybody dies. It's the last voyage. Everybody dies. And another thing I just think it would have been a good ending, a dark ending. You know, Dracula kills everybody. That's the whole point. That's what actually ends up happening in the story. So it just felt lazy to me. They were like, no, we have to have somebody live on. And and I didn't think, and I like Clemens. I'll call him Dr. Clemens. He's an all right character, but he should have died. I think you could have given like some sacrifice death or something, and it could have worked. But he needed to die. That's the whole point of this book, of the title. And I just think it makes for a more interesting story to have Dracula kill everybody, and then you have it just end with Dracula arriving in London. That's kind of all the ending really needed to be. I didn't need that. Like, I'm gonna send them back in hell. Like, if you wanted to do something like that, then have you cast some guy to be Van Helsing, and that could have been Van Helsing, and that would have worked better as an ending. But aside from that, like, that and Anna is a walking plot hole. Aside from those two things, I actually like the movie. I think it has atmosphere. It's a good movie to watch on Halloween. They fucked up releasing it in October. I think that was one of the reasons it didn't do well. Oh, y'all like my Superman shirt? But they fucked up releasing it in August. This should have been probably released like last month or even this month. Like, because to be honest, there's like last week there really wasn't shit out. So like October 20th could have been a perfect time to release this movie. And I know the book technically is set in August, but the studio should have been smart and understood this is a movie about Dracula. Releasing it in like the summer just isn't, or like, you know, towards the end of, not even really the end, it's August, early August it was released. It's like August 11th, I think. So it's like, it was in the middle of summer still. So it's like, you would have been better off releasing it either in September or this month. And I think it would have did better. Because I think releasing it in August just isn't a good time. That's not a summer type of movie. So, but aside from that, it's a good one. And I definitely recommend it. It has little problems, but has a pretty good kill count too. So, alright, y'all. Tomorrow I am gonna be reviewing Maniac Cop, which is not a bad movie. It's your typical 80s slasher, but I like the idea. Like, cops are supposed to protect you, and you have this murderous cop from, who's like a former cop, has a fucked up backstory. I'll go into it later. But it's a fun little movie. I mean, Bruce Campbell's in it, so, you can't go wrong with him. So, but anyway, guys, Voyage of the Demeter, 8 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10. So, I'm going to go with that. So, I'm going to cheers, and I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. y'all later.